What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Alex Cuesta Show. How's everybody doing on this Wednesday, December 7th of 2022? Before we get into all the fun stuff, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate us 5 stars, spread us word of mouth, go follow us on the socials, go search the Alex Cuesta Show. We are there. Dave, I noticed something. And you weren't here last week when we had our great show with Shamika Michelle and she made fun of you and you deserved it. But one thing I did notice, I don't know if you noticed this too. So we do this show, we see each other on camera when we talk to the guests, but we only release the audio, right? Have you not noticed that every time we play the intro, we get our guests to bop a little? Some of them actually dance, but like I always dance. And you know, it's just something that I like our intro. So I'm always bopping. But you'll just see, like even last week with Shamika, I'm looking there and I'm going, and then she just starts doing a little bit of the shoulders. Like you can't help but dance to our theme song. I think it's a pretty good one. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a pretty fun time. Thank you for the royalty-free. I don't even remember where you grabbed that from, but thank you.
I think it's royalty-free music. Yes. Thank you very much. And
yes,
honestly, royalty-free is awesome.
Extremely thankful for that. Yeah, sometimes I am bopping to it. Sometimes I'm like looking at things that we're going to talk about and other things on my phone. And right now I was contemplating playing Slay the Spire while we were talking because I don't need to pay attention to Slay the Spire that much, but I'm not going to do that.
Useless. But yeah, so anyway, last week we had on Shamika Michelle. She's the first lady of the Fearless Army with Jason Whitlock. She also is a co-host of Cut the BS podcast, Cut the Bull podcast, which is a great podcast. They do something in a similar fashion to what we do. They bring on guests and they talk to them. But the spice that they bring, the difference they bring, they have basically 3 different people on the right talking to their guests, and they bring on people from every single spectrum. So go listen to Cut the Bull. Obviously support Jason Whitlock from The Blaze, another really good show there. But also support us and listen to last week's show with Shamika Michelle, because she made the announcement, Dave. And I don't know if this got to Ye, but Ye announced that he was running for president officially, I think today or yesterday. And Shamika said if he comes calling, that she will be Kanye's running mate. Ye, sorry, don't sue me, Ye. So Ye's running mate, which I think, and I said it on the show, I think that would be great for Ye, because Shamika has
a lot to fix there. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Did you see Alex Stein at the council meeting? He was Ye's PR guy. He comes in like one of the like pantyhose sock face things at the council meeting, and he was like, I'm here. I obviously didn't have a great week being Ye's PR guy. I get it. He's like, and we're going to go. Hitler is a bad dude. Holocaust was terrible, the worst thing ever. But then he started breaking down Operation Paperclip and how, the West took hundreds of Nazi scientists, and how one of them created the NASA program. And I forget what he did. He did something awful over there as a Nazi scientist. But like he started breaking it down. He's like, Hitler's a bad guy. But it's okay when we take their scientists and they make NASA for us. But so it was really cool. I recommend go look it up. Primetime Star 99. I'm giving shout outs here to everybody, but there is a great circle of people on the right that people should be listening to and talking to and hearing from. So we're included in those freaking people. Okay, David, we've been doing this long enough that I include us in that circle on the right that should have a little more influence, and we will, damn it. But we have a fun show to talk about today, Dave. We have some cool topics. We're going to start from the jump. We are going to talk football because, Dave, we finally have a reason to truly be excited, Dave. Mike fucking White is in the building. And I know some people listening, especially if you're a Wilson stan or if you just hate the Jets. Well, the Jets lost to the Vikings last week. Well, did you watch the game? Did you watch it? Because if you're going to sit there and watch it and say that Mike White isn't a starting NFL quarterback and should be the quarterback for the Jets until proven otherwise at least 2 times over, I think the man has earned 2 stinkers in a row right now, if he has them. But it's so much fun just watching a real quarterback. And I have not seen quarterback play this good probably since Chad Pennington, Vinny Testaverde.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting because it's telling if someone were to still say that Mike White is just a game manager, Mike White is just this, it's very telling if you're going to say that after these last two games that we've seen, because in the Bears game, he was better in the Bengals game last year. You got to watch the tape. You could see it. And in this game, I would say he was probably better than in the Bears game, especially with the big time throws that he had to make to even keep us in the game.
That Corey Davis 4th and 10.
It's incredible.
Might be one of the best throws you will see made.
It's an incredible throw. An incredible throw, just putting his balls on the table after getting a huge hit that was almost a sack on the play.
I thought he was out.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing is that, listen, I'm not going to tell you that this guy's the next Tom Brady. I'm not going to tell you that. But I'm going to tell you that he's one of the best quarterbacks the Jets have seen, at least in recent years, off of the play that we've seen so far.
Yep.
Because let's be honest, he's had one bad game in the starts that he's had. One legitimately bad game in the starts that he's had. And it's not many starts. It's a very small sample size, but you're watching him play. You're watching the team's just rejuvenation of passion on offense. We've gained over 400 yards now twice in this season with him. The only times in this season that's happened, if I remember correctly, I don't know if one of the Flacco games had it, but if it wasn't a Flacco game, it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. Everyone is so ready to play for this kid, and he hits every easy throw, which I don't know why people act like that's some amazing thing that happens all the time in the NFL offense, because it doesn't.
And I'll say this, it's not even that he hits every easy throw, because a lot of quarterbacks can hit the easy throws. He leads.
He hits them in stride.
And that is difficult to do.
Yes.
And if you see a lot of the plays, if you go back and watch his Vikings games especially, I encourage everyone, another shout out. This is the episode of shout outs. We might call it that. But Michael Nania on Jets X Factor every week does a breakdown, a throw-by-throw breakdown of all the quarterbacks. And he did one of Mike White this week. I'm not done looking, but he has said constantly there was very little separation from Jets wide receivers outside of Garrett Wilson. Very little separation. A lot of the incompletions he threw was because he was putting in the only spot available in tight windows.
Yes.
He didn't start off well. That is factual. He did not have a great start. Mm-hmm. After the first half, though, he was possibly one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. The throws that he were making were throws that Aaron Rodgers would only attempt, that Tom Brady would only attempt, Patty Mahomes would only attempt, maybe not even complete, attempt those. And it's unfair to call him a game manager that saying that he doesn't have a good arm, he showed plenty of speed on those intermediate throws. So it's been fun to watch, Dave. And like you said, everyone around him is playing better now.
It's been an anomaly to watch. That's what it's been. It's been an absolute anomaly to watch, because he really shouldn't be this good.
No.
He shouldn't be this good. And I know Richard Sherman said it before the Vikings game. He said it before the Vikings game about Mike White, that if he went out and had that game against the Bears, and he was the same pick as Zach Wilson, everyone would be singing his praises.
Yeah.
Every single person would be singing his praises.
They would be calling him the next Tom Brady and the next and the next that.
And the thing is I completely understand the caution, because where he was picked and because of the inconsistency that you see from guys usually in that round, it's understandable to have caution. I mean, Let's be honest. I think everyone remembers Matt Flynn. If you don't remember Matt Flynn, it's for good reason, because he got a big payday off of a string of good games where he did look really good.
And he was on the Jets for 5 minutes.
Oh my God, I forgot he was on the Jets.
He was on the Jets. I forget who else they picked up, and then he was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing, is that you have those guys that it happens to. But especially with the Jets are in the position right now, you're in a playoff race. You have control of the 7th seed. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a lose to control, because you lose one, you might lose it. Yep. But you have control. So you're going to put the guy in that gives you the overwhelmingly best chance, and he does. He 100% does give you the overwhelmingly best chance out of all the QBs we have on our roster right now. And the thing is, it's not even just, he's better than both Wilson and Flacco. No. He's heads better than both Wilson and Flacco right now. It's not even close. It is not even close. And I don't know if it's just the energy because of the offensive skill players we have, because we do have damn good ones. Garrett Wilson might be 1,000-yard receiver in his rookie season, which is pretty damn good. And I don't know if it's also because the energy the defense gives, because it is a damn good defense, even though they didn't show it in the first half against the Vikings.
They buckled down.
But they buckled down. But it is a damn good defense. And when you're playing with that as your offense, you can get a little bit better. But either way, the kid is coming out and the offense is running soundly. We had a lot of red zone errors. Part of it is definitely on LaFleur. Part of it's definitely on White. And part of it's definitely on this run blocking. Because if you just run block a little bit better on the 1 yard line, you're in. Zonovan Knight's running the ball. The kid's been running with a head full of steam. There's no reason why a slight push wouldn't get him in. Yeah. So it's an error on everyone, no doubt. But we almost won the game going 1 for 6 with TDs in the red zone. That's ridiculous. Against listen, the Vikings might be a suspect top team, but they're still a top team.
There's no doubt they're a Super Bowl contender at 10-2. Yeah. You can't say anything otherwise with the record. Yeah. And I have to say, Robert Saleh, hell yeah. Hell fucking yeah with Robert Saleh. You want to talk about balls? You want to talk about balls of steel? Let's get a guy like James Robinson, 1,000-yard running back, and basically bench him for an undrafted running back who is playing well, but the ball's there. And now let's also bench the number 2 player, possibly forever, depending on how well things go, and bring in the 5th rounder ahead of the veteran you brought to back up in Joe Flacco. People don't realize how much balls that takes for a second-year head coach who everyone has said, and you know what usually the thing is, though, Dave? When the head coach comes in, they draft a new quarterback, their fates are linked, right? Their fates are linked. Robert Saleh is saying here, and which more coaches should take this mentality, my fate is sealed to winning. My fate is not sealed to a single player because that is a stupid mentality to have. And I feel like that's why a lot of head coaches go down. He's realizing that Zach White is in a bad funk right now. It might not be a Zach Wilson. Sorry. Zach Wilson's in a terrible funk right now. It might be an unbreakable funk because you know something? We've seen Zach Wilson play well. It's factual. We've seen him play well. I have never seen Zach Wilson play as well as Mike White. No. I have never seen Zach Wilson play as well as Joe Flacco did for 3 games. Like, he has not shown the ability to throw the football that well. He's shown flashes of amazing talent, but in a consistent level, he has not shown it. And a lot of it is he could learn a lot from Mike White. Take the easy ones. And that's why Mike White gets in a rhythm. It's not because LaFleur calls plays for him. It's because he reads it, he knows where his hot read is, and he makes a good throw there. And it's because his footwork is impeccable. And he's not a pansy. He stays in the pocket. So a lot of things are positive for Mike White. Now, we'll see. He got his shit pushed in by the Bills last year. He didn't have as many good skill players last year, but these good skill players couldn't get separation from a underrated, I say, Vikings defense. And numbers
they at least played above where they are ranked numbers-wise against us.
They remind me of the Saints defense in the Super Bowl. They're very much a bend, not break. You can get as many yards as you want between the 20s. Inside that red zone, they buckle up, and they have really good pass rushers. So it's not as bad as it seems. We'll see what Mike White does this week. If Mike White puts together another competent game, again, we're not in the business of moral victories. I get that. I get that. But if Mike White in a loss again throws for 300 plus with a good percentage, makes good throws, you're in the game into the 4th quarter, and the loss isn't because of his decision making, there's no way you could say he's 1-2. You shouldn't keep playing him. Sometimes you got to use your eye test. And then just continue to put the guy that's going to give you the best.
And that's the thing. It's not even, and it wouldn't even be a moral victory for Mike White to do that. Because the thing is what are you going to do? Put the broken kid in there, or put the guy that's 57?
That we were supposed to win 6 games only, and we're ready at 7. Okay, like we're a legitimate playoff team, and no one thought that we were going to be better than the last place in the AFC East in pointing direction with the upward direction. And we might have the defensive and offensive rookie of the year on this team.
It's
incredible.
And the thing is. Listen, and Mike White's 27. That's still pretty young, actually. So if the kid is going to be showing out, if the kid's just going to look better and better and better, why wouldn't you keep playing him? It would make absolutely no sense to not keep playing him. And Saleh knows that. So these are political answers that he's giving in his press conference, but these are also the right answers. Because, listen, if White somehow completely implodes, which I don't see happening, honestly, with the way he's playing, but if he somehow completely implodes, and let's say Wilson is actually getting on track with his fundamentals, actually setting his fucking feet and actually hitting the throws that he needs to be hitting and seeing the field better, then he would have some reason later on in the season, especially if it's lost at that point, to put him back in. But he knows for a fact that if Mike White comes out and keeps putting on these displays, keeps throwing for 300 yards, keeps putting up these numbers, and because the touchdowns are going to come. There's no way in hell.
Garrett Wilson probably scores 9 out of 10 times not stepping out of bounds.
Yes.
That's a big
Braxton
one.
probably doesn't drop that ball 9 out of 10 times.
Braxton also shouldn't be in the position to make that catch as the last play of the game.
Yes, but like I said,
that's on the floor. You don't scheme Braxton there.
Yes, but also, yet again, well, actually, funny enough, he wasn't even supposed to come over the middle. He actually, he did that himself because he saw that they were covering him to the outside.
Maybe in the most dick way possible. Yeah. I don't think Braxton Berrios should be on the field running a route.
That's also fair. That is also fair. I do not blame you for that.
I'd rather put Denzel Mims in there because he's a big body.
Yeah, and the same thing with the trick plays. Connor Hughes brought it up. Why? Yeah. Listen.
Why is Garrett Wilson throwing the ball and not catching it?
Exactly. But no, and not even that. I like Brax. Brax is a good utility player. Why isn't Elijah Moore getting those on the end of rounds?
Elijah Moore on the end of round.
Exactly.
And the thing is, at the red zone, you scheme up for Elijah Moore. You scheme up for Garrett Wilson.
Yes.
You don't scheme up for anybody, any other wide receiver. Maybe a Corey Davis to the outside.
Or a tight end.
But if you're going to throw to a smaller receiver, it's Garrett and it's Elijah. It's not Braxton Berrios. It's not Jeff Smith. Yes. It is a jump ball for Mims. It's a jump ball for Davis. It's Conklin or Uzama. And more. I want more Uzama. Yeah. I'm tired of Tyler Conklin dropping the goddamn ball. I want more Uzama.
Yeah, and that's another anomaly.
Give me more Uzama.
He didn't drop balls in Minnesota. I don't know what's happening, but either way,
it is what it is. Either way, we got to move on soon.
Yes, it's what we're saying is things have been fun. Even with the loss to the Vikings, where we should have won, it was fucking fun.
It doesn't feel like the same old Jets. And the last thing I do want to say, Mike White's play significantly improved when George Font got in the game because Max Mitchell was getting his ass beat.
Yes.
And there's a huge difference when you're not feeling the rush on your front side the whole time.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on. We had, outside of having a good week for being Jets fans, we also had a good time and a lot more to come, it seems, on Twitter. So Elon Musk bought Twitter now. God, it's well over a month now, right? That he bought Twitter.
Is it? I don't know.
It's been a while now. And, I am still on a wait and see with Elon Musk. He's doing a lot of good. But I never forget that Elon Musk is a crazy climate activist that wants to go to Mars because he thinks we're going to kill ourselves. That is a fact about Elon Musk, and he's still working that way. But he's doing some great things on Twitter. I think he's having a lot of fun doing it, even though now he's officially scared for his life, and I don't blame him. Mm-hmm. But he let out the first batch of what's called the Twitter files.
There might be fires.
Might be fires. So he let out the Twitter files, and it started off, and this is the first dump. He's giving it to two respected journalists that I love watching the mainstream journalists now try to shit on. Matt Taibbi, formerly Rolling Stone, and also Barry Weiss, formerly New York Times. Yep. Both of them leaving the mainstream because they were tired of being told what to write and not allowed to do what they want to. They both have Substacks. And Dave, I don't know if you love watching this. They're now calling Matt Taibbi and Barry Weiss, they're bloggers. They're running PR for the richest man. And I love watching the people are putting it all together, and they got the orders, and they all basically had the same tweet. But Matt Taibbi put on a 36-piece Twitter thread. It started off with a lot of explanation. I think a lot of people were ready to be let down, right? Mm-hmm. When you first got going, I think 6 slides, 7 slides, Twitter threads were just explanation, things saying that conservatives kind of already knew. And people on the right already knew even what was revealed, but it's nice to finally see it confirmed. What we got was a bunch of confirmation that there was a lot of talk inside Twitter about the Hunter Biden laptop story and whether censoring it was the right thing to do. And it's interesting, Dave. It's interesting to see that there were some Twitter employees going, hey, guys, this isn't our hack material policy. This makes no sense. Mm-hmm. And then you have Vijay Gupta, who was...
Vijay or Vijaya? I don't know.
I think it's Vijay.
You could
or
be
Vijaya?
Correct.
Is it closer to vagina? Vijaya?
I would. I'm going to assume so, mainly because
Jesse Kelly refused to say it on Timcast because he's like, I'm going to get myself in trouble. But,
fair.
So Vijaya, I don't know what her name is, but she overrode a lot of people, and basically was like, yeah, I hear you, but we're doing this. We're going to err on the side of erring, was a quote about whether or not to censor this. So what it confirms is essentially that they were pulling the strings on censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story, whether it was true or not, because they knew it was going to affect elections. It's not because it was disinformation or misinformation. It was because they wanted to. They didn't have any actual policy to do it. One person even brought up, hey, isn't our hack policy based on the law? If something by law says it's hacked, then we don't do it. And they came back. And again, that's where the erring on the side of erring comes from. That's what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. Matt Taibbi also revealed that both sides of the aisle have asked and had Twitter remove people, remove posts, but it is extremely heavily favored on the left, which is not surprising because Twitter is mostly leftists. Very few people, if any, are on the right there. And the ones on the right are probably, Clinton Democrats, not Bernie Sanders Democrats or AOC Democrats. Mm-hmm. That's probably their consideration of the right. If they're a Donald Trump Republican, if we're being honest, if they're a Donald Trump Republican, which is a Bill Clinton Democrat, they're considering them on the right. So a lot of things that we already kind of knew, Dave, were going on about, and they said there's a lot more to come with specific people, shadow banning, things like that. Now, a funny thing, or not a funny thing, but a scary thing happened this weekend, Dave, because Matt Taibbi ended off his thread last week saying, hey, more to come soon over the weekend, because he dumped it on Friday. More to come over the weekend. The weekend comes, Dave, nothing happens, right?
Yep.
So now what's going on? You find out Jim Baker, who was a fixer in the Obama White House, was in the Twitter files, basically going through it and fine-tooth combing, and I'd imagine deleting a lot of really bad shit. Because Jim Baker is a shitty person. He's a bad person. Jim Baker's not a good person. And he was deleting a lot of things. And Matt Taibbi laid that out. I like the way Elon Musk put it. Jim Baker was exited from the Twitter building. And we'll see what happened. We'll see if he left any backdoors, what was gone, what they can recover. Next up is probably going to be Barry Weiss with a dump. And it's not necessarily exciting, Dave, for what they're saying. It's more exciting for the purpose that we're seeing it, and we're seeing the freak out. We're seeing the freak out from the leftists and the way they're trying to run PR. And what they're trying to do is they're not disparaging what was said. They're disparaging the people that are delivering it. Yes. And they're squirming, Dave.
Yes, and they're just continuing to lie about the reason why the laptop is in general.
Well, the dick pics. What, do you want to see some dick pics? You want to see some Hunter dick pics?
It's the dumbest thing in the world. They know that, yet they know they're lying, and we know they're lying. It's kind of embarrassing.
They just keep lying.
And they just keep lying. And we've had this discussion before. I don't think we've actually had this discussion on the show. I will not lie.
I don't think so.
One of the things that I've always said about these problems with the social media companies is partially free speech, but more it's about transparency and what's going on in the company. And that is part of what Musk says he wants to do. And what seems to be going on is he's being more transparent about what has happened and what is going on. He came in and asked
people who wanted to work.
Exactly.
And that's why he fired a ton of people, because he told them, you're not just going to work 40, you're going to work 60, 80 hours. You're a programmer. Act like it.
Yes.
And people weren't willing to do it.
Yes. And the thing is that Musk being on Twitter, doing these polls, even though he might have had his mind up before the poll even ran, who knows? Probably. But him being on Twitter, answering questions, doing all of this shows an amount of transparency that we haven't seen from literally any social media operator. And that is what earns you trust back. And he knows that, because now he's trying to make a profit off of Twitter. This is not just something that is going to be behest to the government. He already feels it, honestly.
And he doesn't want to be behest to the advertisers, because he knows also if he starts to make a successful product, the advertisers will all start coming back because they like money more than they like virtue signaling.
Yes. And that was, for me, that was always the biggest issue, is that things could happen on your platform. Like, you could ban someone or suspend someone. If you are not as transparent as possible as to why it happened, people are going to distrust you no matter what.
Elon Musk coming out and saying, when people like, bring Alex Jones back, free speech absolutist, bring him back. And he's like, no, it's personal. Yeah. I don't want him on my platform.
The thing is, listen, you could disagree with it. I disagree with it, but he's being honest.
Like, this is personal. What he said, I can't forgive. I don't want him on my platform.
He's not bullshitting you. He's being, at least it seems that he's being honest, and he's not completely bullshitting you in a way. It's like, oh, well, this and this and this, and we really can't. No, he's not saying we can't get into it. He's just saying, no, I don't like it.
There's some issues. Dr. Malone still isn't back on. Yes. I forget the other one on the and McCullough. Yeah. Why aren't McCullough and Malone back on? Yes. That's kind of nonsense. They're two prominent leading doctors in infectious disease and things like that.
What I am saying is that more people are coming back today. I know Roger Stone just came back an hour ago.
If Roger Stone can come back, then why the fuck can't Malone and McCullough come back?
That's the thing, though, is that it might be just rolling things that he's doing every so often, so they might come back at one point. I have no idea. But either way, and with the Twitter files dump, and rightfully so, some criticisms from people of like, well, some of the problems is it is just screenshots. We would like some files to see, kind of like WikiLeaks. I know there are probably some legal things that they actually do need to redact, so they're not just putting some shit out there.
And it's easier than blacking out and redaction.
Exactly. But it would be nice to have some of the actual files come out than just screenshots, especially because, and I know some people are theorizing that Musk might have 4D chessed this with Jim Baker because he was still there.
Maybe.
Even though he says he didn't know, which I think is more plausible. I just didn't fucking know because
I think so too, yeah.
But either way, Baker being there, and people like Baker being there, because I would not be surprised if he's the only one.
There's a ton of government operatives.
Because you know how incredible our FBI is and how much they just love us and really do everything for us. Them and the CIA, they really work for the people.
We don't need an SS in the fucking country. Get rid of it.
As you could see. But it's just having those people in there is part of the issue of not just dumping the fucking files. If you just dump the files, you just kind of cut them out of it. But I can see why you don't just dump the files.
And I think Elon knows he would get sued left and right if he didn't do it with a little more tact.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like Jack coming out and criticizing him. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. You didn't have control of your company.
And not even that,
You're part of the reason why. Listen,
the things he released actually made Jack look good because they confirmed that Jack was not in the loop. He looked like a bitch when he was like,
it made him look good, but it also made him look fucking stupid because you didn't have control of your company. We
all knew that he wasn't the CEO the second time around. He was just brought in to save face with the company.
Yeah,
because people knew that he actually had a good reputation with both sides on the left and the right. With what he created initially, he garnered a little bit of respect from both because he was much more free speech.
When he went on Rogan with
Tim
what's her name?
With Tim Kasten.
What's her name? And Tim Pool.
And Vijaya.
And she was answering the questions instead of him.
It
was very obvious who actually ran and knew what was happening at Twitter. Yeah. Jack had no goddamn idea. It was mainly her and whoever else was in those top
every time Congress had like the big like tech people on, Jack was on an island.
Yeah,
he was like
huge Rasputin beard.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, our artificial human Zuckerberg was in his box somewhere marinating. You had, I don't even know who runs the other ones, but like
V2 Zuckerberg.
I love when it's like he's in like a room and then all of a sudden there's like a Sweet Baby Ray's randomly chilling in the back corner. And it's like, what are you doing with barbecue sauce in a bedroom, you idiot? Unless he's into some freaky shit. Good for you, Zucks. You know what? If you like your little robot sex with some lube there, enjoy it, man. That's like motor oil to him. But yeah, overall, the Twitter files, it's still ongoing. So we're probably going to talk about this again because when they release more and we find out more, I'm going to be curious to see what type of names come out. Because we all have suspicions of who and what was shadow banned. But I'm going to be curious when we see what occurred and when it occurred. Because I'd be curious about timing. Are we going to see shadow bans really boosting up during election year, like close election times? Because that'll be pretty telling. And I'd imagine we're going to see that. I'd imagine we're going to see guys, prominent people. I know a lot of people don't like Sean Hannity, but he's prominent. And I know we're probably going to see guys like Hannity, like Glenn Beck, like influential people on the right that do have a lot of say of who gets out to vote are probably going to be the ones that are shadow banned.
And I do want to say one more thing before we leave this topic.
One more thing.
Because I know we really didn't touch on the files too much.
No, not too much.
We don't necessarily, I would say we don't necessarily need to. I would say go look at it for yourself. If you are considering, if you're following this, it's
at MTAIBBI, Matt Taibbi.
Yes. Yeah, there's a full thread. You could read it all. You could see what happened. It's honestly a decent amount of bad shit. I'm not going to lie to you. But, and I will say, I see these people making the argument that, the Biden campaign wasn't in there yet, so it's not like a First Amendment thing that really happened there, which in a technicality is correct, but it also completely disregards the fact that, the First Amendment is the First Amendment. It's no government that should be able to suppress your free speech. But guys, we have a culture of free speech in America. It's supposed to be a cultural thing as well. That's the point of it.
And I don't even want to hear that shit about the Biden campaign. The guy was in the White House for 8 years, and there were still a ton of his people there, and a ton of his people that left the White House during Trump went and worked for these tech companies. So kick rocks with that shit, because Biden was still, had his tendrils wherever the hell he wanted to. In terms of even during the Trump era, I wouldn't be surprised if both Biden and Obama had a lot of influence over what went on with the bureaucracy there, because a lot of those people were put in place by Obama, by Biden. Trump's biggest mistake was he didn't come in, find out who hired these people, and fired all of them that weren't hired by someone that he trusted. So everyone. So he should have honestly fired every single person that wasn't a secretary. Get the hell out. That's honestly it. If you have any sort of power, you're gone. I'll put in my own people. But the people that he did surround him were terrible anyway. Like Bolton would have been like, let's just rehire half of them because Bolton's an idiot. So let's move on. Twitter files are interesting. Keep paying attention to them, because while Twitter shouldn't be important to your life, Twitter is really important, and it sucks at how fucking important Twitter is. But Twitter is actually a really important tool. And if Elon Musk can succeed in what he's trying to do, it could be a really fun place again. It really could. And also, Elon Musk did let out that he's not suicidal. He said it flat out. I think he's not suicidal. I think he even mentioned something like, don't tell Hillary where I live, like something funny like that. But he did say he's not suicidal, because he really is in fear for his life right now. And I'm not surprised. I would be too, because he's really... we've seen all these crypto billionaires. I think there's now 6 of them that have lined up dead over the last 2 weeks. We saw that one crypto billionaire with all the sons tweeting, those are my 3 options. Either the CIA or Mossad's going to kill me, CIA is going to drug me and I'll become a drone, or I'll be their worst nightmare. The very next day, fully clothed, drowned in the water, wallet and all of his valuables intact. Elon Musk does have to be careful. People in Elon Musk's circle have to be careful.
Also,
our intelligence people are not good people. Also,
that Chinese guy that dresses up as Elon Musk, and he does that for those funny videos, he probably needs to be careful too, because he looks too much like Elon Musk.
He does.
Elon Ma.
Well, I mean,
love that. He's hilarious.
But you know what, though? Ye did let the cat out of the bag. He believes that Elon is a Chinese. I forget what the blend was, a Chinese and something genetic blend. South African, a Chinese and South African genetic blend. And Elon's like, and I think Elon responded, he's like, I think I take that as a compliment. And Ye's like, all compliments, my brother.
So ridiculous.
Man, yay 2024, people. Yay 2024. Do it, dude. Just do it. Yay 2024, man. You want the best speeches ever? Tonight. You want the best speeches ever? Go vote for Ye as he's sitting up there. Like, man, listen. I got like 7 things running in my mind. I'm just going to pick one to make the speech, and let's go right here. And blah, 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 blah. He'll have like Donald Trump on one side, Farrakhan on the other, and they're both have boxing gloves on. Whoever wins he'll say that message that day. Am I going to be anti-Semitic, or am I going to be America first? Whoever wins, I do it. Honestly, I'm onto something, okay? I think that'll be the best for America.
Yeah.
2024.
Just accelerate. If the GOP is going to be weak and the Democrats are going to be crazy,
there is no GOP. The GOP needs to be gone. We need to break. I'm calling for the Federalist Party to come back. The Federalist Party, American Federalists, I don't care what you want to call it. Let's break off. Good candidates, break off. Fuck the GOP. I'm done with them. They suck. Anyway, let's move on to I want to kill the GOP. Canada wants to kill all of its citizens. What the hell is going on in Canada, Dave? Please explain to everybody why Canada just wants to kill people.
It saves money. It saves money. I've actually seen an article that says that. I think it was a joke article. I think it was a joke article. I hope it was a joke article. But either way, it does actually save money if you do kill yourself, which is part of what Canada is actually asking whether you want to do or not, depending on how you feel. And I feel like almost in any situation that is an awful question. I don't care how bad it is. For a healthcare provider to ask, have you tried suicide? is something that they shouldn't be asking. But this is what you get when you only have government health care. I will not lie to you. This is what happens every single time, because eventually the prices get too much. You cannot provide for this many people at this kind of dole. And anytime the problems start arising at that point, people not being around helps. It just helps. It really does. So Canada is now meeting this point. You see the stories rising and rising and rising now. They even put out an ad saying, listen, you might have to think about offing yourself because of your health situation. And we could help you with that. We can help you with that. We might not be able to help you with your health situation, but it would be cheaper and you would be resting at this point. So it is a genuine problem that seems to be arising in Canada. I mean, depending on how you look at it, it might not be that much of a problem. But at least from my perspective, I yet again, that shouldn't be a question that any healthcare provider asks you. That's the question that maybe gets asked if someone's in a vegetative state, that you ask their family member. But someone in a bad situation, especially if they're not asking for it in the first place, I don't think you should ever ask them, have you ever thought about euthanasia and ever thought about just leaving? Because that's not something you do. That's not providing healthcare. That's just providing death.
So you're going at this from a logical perspective, right? From a medical logical. I'm jumping right back into politics, Dave. This is what happens when a pure, unadulterated leftist is in charge. When a pure, unadulterated leftist in Justin Trudeau has a cabinet members full of World Economic Forum people, which Klaus Schwab has been happy to talk about, that he has infiltrated the Canadian Prime Minister's cabinet. This is what happens when you listen to those people talk, and when they talk about how our population is too high. So then what is the answer, Dave? And it starts with a unassuming place like Canada, right? Like, we know about Canada. They're our neighbors. We consider them our neighbors to the north. We think that they're a lot like us. We're finding out, Dave, Canada is absolutely nothing like the United States. This whole entire push for, killing people, assisted suicide, this is right in the playbook of every single leftist nation that has ever existed in terms of killing your own citizens that you don't consider desirable. Because I guarantee they're not suggesting that any depressed celebrities in Canada off themselves that agree with their politics. I can imagine that you're not getting any of that. That, if it definitely, I would like to see if there's numbers of what people they're telling that they should off themselves. Because one of the stories is there's a military vet that called the VA in Canada because all she needed was one of those chairs to help her get up and down the stairs because she lost function. And you know what the VA told her? We can assist you in dying. You think your VA's bad here, military? At least they just tell you to fuck off and continue with your ailment. They don't tell you just die.
And I do want to say this. If anyone wants to say like, oh, this is overblown, it's really not happening that much in Canada. So this is one of those times where it's like, if it happened once, it's a little bit too much. Because if it happened, if you
just
hear
one person,
if you hear a singular story of like a medical professional asking someone if they want to off themselves for any reason, you're usually going to say, what the fuck is wrong with that person?
What's been a big thing growing up, Dave? What's one of the jokes like, oh, they're going to get Kevorkian. Dr. Kevorkian in the United States was assisted suicide, and he's considered one of the most evil people in the history of the United States.
Yeah, this is one of those things where it's just like, okay, why would this even happen once? And it is evil if it happens once, or it is at least pretty bad if it happens once. It's not the type of thing where it's like, oh, it only happened a small number of times. No, it's not good if it's happening a small number of times. That's weird to be even in the medical profession at all.
I firmly believe these leftist leaders are really pushing to see what the people will accept, right? Because right now, what do we have? We have the LGBTQ, the trans movement, which is pushing genital mutilation of minors. And there's no other way to go about it. Even less with like bringing in drag queens and all the grooming and shit like that in terms terms of pedophilia and grooming them and become trans. The major thing is they're pushing chemical castration and genital mutilation, which is something that in the West we have all always oh my God, they're so terrible in the Muslim countries and they do it to their young girls. And what are they doing in the African nations? They're uncivilized. And the Nazis were so terrible to do those experiments on people and, eugenics. And here we are. They're promoting modern day eugenics on our youth. And now here we are in Canada. We have always sat there and been like, suicide is a very touchy topic. We make it illegal in the United States.
It's an awful topic.
It's an awful topic. We make it illegal in the United States because we firmly, I think the medical thing is that if you are considering suicide and you are strongly considering, you're not in a good mental state anyway. So therefore, you should not be allowed to do it to yourself. Now, there's something to be said about potentially having good professional medical people talk to these people. And then if it really is something that is the only solution for them, that they actually are going to do it anyway. But that's difficult because we're seeing all these terrible medical professionals now doing it. There's a reason why it's illegal in the United States. But here we are. A major Western nation is now normalizing another fucked up thing that we have known intrinsically as people is bad, is not a good thing. It is something that as Western societies, we have always kind of turned our nose up. We would never do that. We're civilized. And now here we are. We're generally mutilating kids, chemically castrating them, convincing them it's a good thing. And now another Western nation, a major one, is saying, you have a bum leg, let's just kill you. Like, it's like, like, it is bizarre to me, Dave. And the fact that so many people are just, oh, you know what? I'm supposed to agree with their politics, so yeah, it's not happening. It's cool. And if it is happening, it's probably for good reasons. And no, it's not the government doing it. When everything in Canada is the government doing it. They're socialists.
That's one of my favorite pivots that I love witnessing. It's not happening. Oh, but if it is happening, it's a good thing.
Or it's not a lot.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite pivots because it's always that is always what they do. It is always the pivot that happens.
Shamika, and I'll say it to you because I've said it in the past. The biggest thing, Donald Trump was the biggest favor and the best friend for politicians. Because all of a sudden, after Donald Trump, politicians are trustworthy. Governments are trustworthy. They're good people. They actually care. Listen, I like some politicians on the right, but fuck every single one of them until proven otherwise. Until proven otherwise, I don't care about these new Republicans that are coming in and doing things. Like, there are people I like. I like Mike Lee. I like Ron DeSantis. I like certain guys. I like Andy Biggs, who just went against McCarthy and stuff like that. But fuck all of them, because until proven otherwise, they're politicians. I remember growing up and we were raised, you don't trust politicians. They say what they need to say. They talk out of one mouth. They do the other.
How do you know when a politician is lying?
They open their mouth.
Yes. That is one of the oldest things that's the oldest joke you could possibly say.
And this goes back to Roman times during their democracy. Yes. It's always been a thing that politicians are scum. And now Donald Trump comes along and he's the only person in politics that's ever lied. And it's a bizarre turn. And that's another turn that you talk about with people with this turn. Why haven't we started calling them out again? Like, they're going on all these shows and everything like that, and they're treating them nice. Why the fuck are we treating them nice? Why are we treating them nice? Why are we not grilling these people? They work for us and they haven't done shit.
Yep.
Why are we nice to them?
They should be at least slightly afraid of the populace that they are representing.
Yes.
They should be afraid for their job at all times.
Yes.
At all times, they should be afraid for their job because they aren't representing us enough. And they're not. And that's part of the issue, is that none of these people are afraid for their jobs at all. At all.
And, and I give credit, the Mises Caucus, whatchamacallit, the other one in the House that DeSantis formed first. I forget it. The Second Amendment ones. I forget what they are. But I forget the other caucus. There were another good caucus, though. That Andy Biggs was a runner and he ran it. Jim Jordan ran it too. They seem like they want to do the right thing, right? But it's easy to do shit when you're not in power.
Yeah.
Now that the House has some power, let's see. Let's see if they stir it up. They've been good about stirring up. They stirred it up during Paul Ryan. They stirred it up during Boehner. But now you got to keep doing. So, again, that was the biggest thing. It's a little off topic, but it goes with Canada, though. Canada is fully run by their government. They are public everything. Why do we trust a single thing that they say? We should trust them as much as we trust China and North Korea. Any country that's fully government run, that's not a more free nation, that has this socialist aspect to it, should not be trusted. And we saw what they did to the truckers. Why are we trusting anything coming out of Canada?
Exactly.
They are nothing like that.
They froze accounts.
And Dave, we are going to go on a topic too, because I'm going to defend the two-party system in full at one time, because I'm tired of people ragging on it, because I think people are fucking stupid. But that's neither here nor there. It's a cool thing to go, oh, the two-party system doesn't work. Look at Israel, you idiots. Look at Britain. Like, I digress. We will go on about that. But we're going to move on because I'm annoyed. Do you have anything else about Canada before I go?
Yeah. Don't contemplate. If you do contemplate suicide, seek help, and don't let a medical professional ever ask you whether, and like, don't ever take that from them.
Don't call a Canadian government official either.
Yeah, that is absolutely ridiculous that it's happening in the first place. Yeah. It is a serious topic. Listen,
some of the most vulnerable people in the world are the people that are considering suicide because they feel
alone. Yeah. So it's a topic that is, oh boy, you want to talk something big? That's big. The fact that they're even trying that is insane.
And the thing is though, if you've never had anybody tell you that they've thought about committing suicide, contemplated, and you can seriously see it in their eyes, not that they're, because here's the deal. It is normal to kind of always, it goes off in your mind. You watch a fucked up movie and you're like, man, that would suck. What would happen if I wasn't here? How would people react? Like, you think about it. What you saw someone commit suicide and you're like, well, what would that be like? What would everyone's world be like? That's a normal human contemplation. You see something, you think about it, you even go off on that way. But the people that legitimately contemplate it and go, it's probably the right thing to do. I'm useless. I don't belong here. No one cares about me. If you've ever heard anyone seriously express that to you, it's a chilling,
the deep
feeling, and it makes you feel empty because you don't know what to say. You have no idea what to say to them. You have no idea what to say. You just listen, and you just, the one thing that I've always said to a lot of them is, I'm happy you're still here. Because I dealt with people that said that. I've worked in positions, I've dealt with people that said that. And the one thing that I found that kind of is, I'm happy you didn't do it. I'm happy you're here to have this conversation with me. And it's that serious, everyone. I know I just went on a rant, but man, what Canada's doing is taking advantage of people that have a problem mentally at that point. And it's terrible. Speaking of someone who might be fucking losing it, Dave. Jordan Peterson, a guy
not to that degree.
I don't know. Jordan Peterson's been through some shit though. If you hear Jordan Peterson talk, he's had some real hardships in his life.
Yeah,
I think they might be getting to him though, Dave. He's a guy that I loved. I read both of his books. Beyond Order and 12 Rules for Life are fantastic books. Jordan Peterson is a very bright guy. He's done a lot of good things. Said a lot of good things. Have helped a lot of people. Dave, he might be losing it though. He might be losing it, Dave. What is he talking? We went on a rant about anonymity. Kind of give a synopsis on the whole anonymity thing that he's doing online.
So I wasn't able to find like the full thread and everything that he said, but mainly he does not like anonymity online because it basically provides a shield. Because it does, and it provides a shield for people to say whatever they want and not really take any accountability or be able to be taken to task really for what they are saying and other such things. It is a general point that a lot of people have made about anonymity online, and there is some credence to it. I will not disagree with that. But to me, someone who has been online for basically all of his life, I would say, damn near all of it, I completely disagree what he is saying, and I understand how he came to this point because I can imagine just the mail he gets from anonymous people that probably say the most inane things and disgusting things, and I can only imagine what he has seen and what he has had to talk about with his family. Yeah. So I can understand why he gets to the point that he is at, but to me, like I said, someone who has been on the internet for a very long time, anonymity is something that actually, I would say, helps people more than it hurts people. Because yes, it does hurt people, no shit. But the fact that so many people could make an impact on other people's lives while being anonymous. I don't know how many people have watched YouTube and watched someone who you don't know their name. You don't know their name, but they have had some kind of impact on you in some way, just because, you know, they really cannot show their name. You don't know what would happen to their job that they probably have while they do YouTube, or to something else. So they need that anonymity. They need something to shield them from people who would go after their job and would go after their livelihood because of whatever they're saying or whatever that they do.
Yeah.
So, and it's not just that. There's multiple other reasons that you should have anonymity online. Another reason is fuck you. I don't want you to know who I am if you don't. This is the last bit of wild, wild west we get to have. And it's not even how it used to be. The internet used to be a lot more fun, kids. It used to be a lot more fun. You used to be able to go on here and actually enjoy your time on the internet before.
Yeah.
Now you just go on and do just like depressed.
I feel bad for the kids that haven't watched old school YouTube, that didn't see the real YouTube.
Yeah. And just weren't allowed to just have fun. But either way, it's like I said, I can see the point. I understand the point. I just think it is faulty because it is not something that is that applicable to the internet. It is not applicable to this. This is something that we need to remain anonymous. We need to remain wild, wild west. We need to remain free, as free as we can be on the internet, because it's the last bastion. It really is. It is the last bastion of what we have to be able to do these things. We can't do the shit we do on the internet like out in any kind of public space, because it's maybe for good reason, but in other ways, it's just it is something that has helped more people than it has hindered them, and I will 100% back that every time I say it.
And one thing, Jordan Peterson is trying to clarify. He doesn't think they should be banned. He wants them separated from the verified people, which I think is even worse, to be quite honest. Because, we've had someone who is doing great work under the guise of anonymity on this show. Eyes Inside the Classroom is doing a fantastic job exposing what is going on inside the classroom. I'd say his work, along with Libs of TikTok, have done some of the best work in terms of anonymity. Now, Libs of TikTok has since been doxxed, but for the longest time, people did not know who she was. They didn't know who was running. They didn't know it was a woman. People were shocked to find out it was a woman running Libs of TikTok. But they've done great work, and they will continue to do great work. And you have also people like Cal Tankula. Cal Tankula does awesome stuff. And like you said, there's so many people that go under pseudonyms, and pseudonyms have been around forever. It's not just the internet. We've seen some of the greatest political documents written under pseudonyms. Ben Franklin was famous for that, writing, some of his greatest works. Like we find out eventually who they are. So there is a big thing to anonymity. And while I do feel bad for Dr. Peterson, he knew what he was getting himself into by standing up for his morals and standing up for his values. Now, I don't think he ever thought he'd rise. I
don't think he knew the
extent,
the blast radius of what he was getting into.
Have to continue. Yes. He didn't have to go on tour. Yeah. He didn't have to write 2 books. He didn't have to go on show after show. So unfortunately, when you do that, you paint a target on your back, especially in a cesspool like Twitter. And there's a lot of people that go through these things, and he's not alone. He's I think maybe he's feeling alone at times, and I think that's a problem. And I've heard that there's, his daughter's been pretty pissed at him for some of the things he said too, and things like that, because she doesn't agree. And she's a great person to follow as well. Michaela Peterson is fantastic. But, I could think of people off the top hand, like people like a Tim Pool, like a James Lindsay, like a Glenn Beck, like a Jesse Kelly. All these people who go out there, and guys, especially like Jesse Kelly, Tim Pool was a homeless dude for a little bit. James Lindsay was just a math professor. These guys had normal lives. A lot of these people had normal lives, and they saw something that was wrong, and they stood up for it, and they stood up for their morals, and kudos to them. Kudos to Dr. Peterson. He's touched a lot of lives. Like I said, I love the man's 2 books. I think everyone should read them. They're pretty transformational books. You find out a lot about yourself from reading those. But I think he's having a little bit of a nervous breakdown right now. I think the pressure is getting to him. And I mentioned this to you, whether this is Dr. Peterson speaking or not, or if it has something to do with his deal with the Daily Wire. Because the guys at the Daily Wire, pun intended, are wired a little different. Yes, they're on the right, but they are closer to neocons on the new right than you're going to get. They are, they're pretty freaking weird dudes over there. Yes, I agree with a lot of the things they say, and a guy like Matt Walsh does great work. Don't get me wrong. But there are times where I listen to them and I'm like, what side are you guys on sometimes? Like, there's certain things that I'm listening to, and that's okay. We're allowed to disagree in politics. But I wonder if him going and getting this deal with the Daily Wire has kind of changed the way he's looking at things. Now that he has a major deal, now that he's making money on contract here and not having to go on all these tours and sell a shit ton of books. Like, I mean, I hope he changes his position on this. Knowing Dr. Peterson, he won't. The man doesn't change his position very easily. But this is one that I hope he can see the value in, because anonymity on the internet, especially on a place like Twitter, can allow people to do really good work without the vitriol, can allow the right to get the people in the institutions where we need to get them in and have them expose a bunch of shit, like Elon's doing with the Twitter files, like Eyes Inside the Classroom has done, like plenty of anonymous accounts have done. I think it takes a lot of gall to do what we do, to come out here and put our names out there and put our names to what we do. But there's certain people that we need that can get into these places that can do this in silence. People like, Project Veritas type of stuff that can get in there and could do these things in silence. So I really hope Dr. Peterson changes his position on that, because I think he's wrong. I think he's wrong on his position.
He's had this anonymity take before, but it's not and it's not like he hasn't changed his mind on other takes. I mean, there was a time where he was actually really more or less against the incel community, but now he finds himself saying, wait a minute, these are actually people that he reaches out to probably the most, because his stuff that he puts out helps them the most.
Can Nick Fuentes read his books?
Oh my God! Well,
he's the ultimate incel.
He's a different type of being. But yeah, no, it's a take that he's had for a good bit, and he's just going on it again. It's whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean,
the difference is now he's more influential. So when he has these sort of takes, it has a bigger footprint. It has a much bigger ripple than it used to have.
Yes, but also it brings the conversation more to the forefront, so we get to actually say, like, no, that's actually not a great take there, my friend. I just don't think you understand the internet the way you're supposed to.
And he doesn't have to be perfect. He's allowed to have
exactly. That. No, exactly. There's a point of being human. Now we're going to argue about things, and this is something that has been taken away from us. The fact of the matter is that people shouldn't. I haven't seen people, but people shouldn't be disowning Jordan Peterson for having this take. It's just like, no, I just don't agree with this.
He's had some missteps. His, his conservative manifesto wasn't very conservative. He's had some missteps lately, but he's still an influential and a very good. He's a good person to follow on the right. He has a lot of good, strong views that are very conservative. So, last thing I want to touch on before we jump out, we're going to do it quickly, Dave. Jennifer Lawrence is an idiot. There's just no other way to go about it. She's had some dumb things before where what'd she say, that Tucker Carlson in her dreams saving her was like a nightmare or something like that nonsense.
I don't even remember that one.
I think it was. Didn't you remember? I think she said something like
it was something like that.
Her terrible dream was like Tucker Carlson's in her dream, and the worst nightmare is that she's like getting attacked by something, and he rolls in like a Brocky chest and like saves her and sweeps her away, and she has to be grateful to him, and like that was her nightmare. This one might be dumber. She said that basically.
You got the quote up? Or?
I don't have the quote, but I'm giving a synopsis. If you can find the quote it. But I'm going to give a quick synopsis. Here. Oh, you have it?
I got the quote from the Variety.
Go ahead, Twitter. Say
it. I remember when I was doing Hunger Games, the movie, nobody had ever put a woman in the lead of an action movie, Jennifer Lawrence says. We were told girls and boys can both identify with a male lead, but boys cannot identify with a female lead. I don't know who told her that. I have no idea who told her.
Has she ever seen The Terminator? The stories about Sarah Connor.
Many movies.
Or Kill Bill.
Yes, many movies. Has she ever seen like a movie before?
Off the top of my head, like, come on. What a stupid statement.
I have no idea who told her that. I have no idea why she would say that in an interview. But it is one of the dumbest things. And you know what? Honestly, this might have been what she was going for because it does get some press on her for being stupid. So, like, maybe she wanted some press out there on herself. But either way, it makes absolutely no sense. But it kind of follows what a lot of people say during their productions and say about the things that they're putting out now, where it's just like, oh, I'm the first this or I'm the first that, or people haven't seen this before, or like, and it's the dumbest shit ever because most of the time these people are saying this about their productions because their productions aren't very good.
So I'm curious, where's Charlize Theron? Where are you? Please, you come on, like Charlize Theron plays one of the most iconic, and you see more of Charlize Theron in that movie than anybody else in all the Kill Bills, and they're fantastic.
It's an embarrassing and a dumb statement. It is, like I said, following a lot of what we hear today, where it seems like people just forget the past. It's just like it actually didn't happen. Like none of this stuff that happened in the past actually happened.
Tomb Raider doesn't exist, even though it's bad.
I'm the first to ever do this, or this is something someone hasn't seen before. These are always dumb comments. These always have nothing to actually add to whatever is coming out.
And I also want to bring up Miss Jennifer Lawrence. Your action role, it's not like that was a Hollywood thought of role. That was a worldwide best-selling book. So it's not even like, it's like, oh, this is the first action movie of a female. Sorry, that movie wasn't even thought in mind with a female lead. It was a book first. So it's like, I'm sorry, you're completely off. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about. The Hunger Games was this original idea where they thought of a powerful heroine or whatever. Even though it's not the first, sure, you can kind of say like, hey, my role might have been one of the first to do what I did, but
I still think it's silly.
It's still wrong.
And I still think it's silly to say that, and I think it's also very silly to say that boys weren't able to identify with a female lead or a strong female lead, which is completely out of the realm of any kind of consciousness and production and in any kind of entertainment that we've seen in the past. Because for some reason, it always seems to be the guys that don't care very much about these things that to identify with every single person that in entertainment that they like. You talk to anyone that watches anime, they identify with every single character that they like, no matter who they are.
Yep.
But those that are in tune with this kind of perspective, this really dumb perspective where they only look at things in their identity, are the only type of people who always say, oh, I need to see myself, or, oh, they don't see themselves on the screen. It's the dumbest fucking thing you could possibly say, because the only time where a child will think that is if an adult puts that in their brain, one, and two, they will always see themselves on the screen if they like the character. Your child can see themselves on the screen with Larry the fucking parrot when they are a baby because they enjoy the character. Stop it with this nonsense. And it's the dumbest thing that's been pushed in entertainment for a long time.
And one of the dumbest things, period, in entertainment and in sports, Dave, because I'll say this. When you were growing up, I was growing up, what football player did I want to be? I want to be Jerry Rice. I wanted to be Emmitt Smith.
I wanted to be.
I wanted to be. I didn't want to be Ed McCaffrey. I didn't want to be Wayne Corbett. Great players. I like them, but I wanted to be T.O. I wanted to be Randy Moss. I don't think any of those guys are white. In basketball, people weren't sitting there, and once Steve Nash was good, they weren't sitting there and being like, "Oh, Steve Nash is God only. Dirk Nowitzki's only the greatest." No, we still to this day, Michael, Magic. Those are the people we try to emulate. Even Steph Curry.
Like always go back to that picture of the white kid with cornrows because of Allen Iverson.
Because of AI. And that's the thing. And that's why this whole entire we need to see ourselves thing is so fucking stupid. Because it's not like white people will shy away from it. That's all we did. And you see, like you said, I agree with you, Dave. If you like it, you could see yourself in it. That's it.
It is forever. If a child is saying that, it is because a fucking parent or an adult put it in their heads and they have actually horribly ruined entertainment for that child. And it is embarrassing as a parent for you to fucking do that.
And
I'm tired of it.
Go ahead, dude. Get off.
Because a child should never be like, oh, I don't see myself in this picture or in this movie. Because they always do if they like it. They always do if they like it. I guarantee you show a small boy like a Disney movie that they like, where it's a Little Mermaid, where it's something like that. They will fucking identify with Ariel. They will identify with these people. It is it drives me out of my mind because it completely goes off anything creative that we have studied over years and years and years. If you are creative, if you actually enjoy these things, you will never, ever say that in your life because you know how people identify with characters. Yep. I'm done with it. All this nonsense.
That was all Ariel and all that is all adolescents identifying with adolescent problems.
Oh my God.
They didn't care about the gender.
Exactly. And I'm sorry.
I get it.
It drives me up a fucking wall.
It is terrible.
Because me, who I love this shit growing up. I love so many characters growing up. And if my mother or father told me that I could only identify, or they even made hints about me identifying with someone because of something on that fucking screen, they would be doing me a complete disservice in every single way, in every single facet in my life. And it's embarrassing that this is being pushed in every single direction in Hollywood and in entertainment. And I'm so fucking happy that you're all losing money because you deserve it. You deserve to fall because of what you're pushing, because you're not creative, you're all corporate, and you're all bullshit. Okay, I'm sorry.
I love it. And I'll say this, and one of the things that always annoyed me too is the wokeism is jumping into WNBA and women's soccer heavily, right? You growing up with it, you had a lot of it going through as you were growing up. When I was growing up, Dave, male soccer players to a T fucking loved Mia Hamm. Yeah. Mia Hamm was one of our heroes because she was an amazing soccer player. Growing up like in basketball, WNBA wasn't big. You knew who Cheryl Swoops and Lisa Leslie were. You knew who Swish Cash was. You knew who these players were. And you could identify with them because they were good at their craft. And no one was demanding. It's not like I couldn't like them because they were women and I was a boy, that I only had to like guys. I enjoyed them because I knew they were really freaking good at what they did. And it's terrible that you have these idiots that are robbing themselves of something. Abby Wambach is an amazing soccer player. She's going to be remembered as a fucking moron. Not because she's one of the greatest headers on the planet, that had one of the nicest soccer headers in the history of soccer. Like when that ball got swung in, her head was there, was in the back of the net. That was her in her prime. No one's going to remember her for that. They're going to remember her for nonsense. And for the fact that the women are making more money in this World Cup than the men, which I think people need to talk about more. It's dumb, Dave. It's just overall.
It all in line goes with acting like things in the past didn't happen. Things in the past fucking happened. Get over yourself. It's that simple. Get over yourself. Most of the time, you're not making the greatest thing in the world. Don't act like you are, and don't act like you're the first to ever do anything, because you're fucking not. Okay, I need to stop because I'm going to keep going. I need to stop because I'm going to keep going.
I like ranting, David. I didn't think this segment was going to go this long, and
I didn't think it would. I didn't think it would either, but I just got
angry. David. Angry David's great. But yes, I completely and totally agree with you. The whole entire, you need to see yourself in order to see yourself in a character. It is really, really, really dumb. It's just dumb. There's no other way to put it. People that are pushing it are dumb. You're all dumb. The show isn't dumb, though. But the show is done. So again, Dave, you have anything to rant about anymore before we go?
No, because I would keep going. No.
All the anger is gone. It's not gone.
No, it's there, but I'm
You
done.
are suppressing it.
It's there.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Just me and David this week. We're looking to have guests back on next week. We'll see how that goes. But everyone, thank you so much for listening. Go follow us on the socials.
I'm sorry if I peaked the audio. I'm sorry if I got too loud because I did get close to the mic. So.
Give us the like, share, follow, subscribe, 5-star ratings. Go find us on the socials again, and we'll be back next week. Later, everybody.